Alright, so a bunch of you guys were asking for this GSGang music theory. Let's make a couple things clear. Number one, you can take entire college courses on music theory. This is not going to be that. Alright, this is going to be a brief, easy to understand explanation based on what we're talking about on this channel specifically when I'm critiquing music theory. Do not expect to walk away with a PhD to this. This is like your bare minimum understanding of things, okay? You have two different parts that music theory gets broken up into. You have written music theory, which I really don't know anything about. I can't read sheet music, I can't read music or anything like that, so that's never what I'm talking about. The other part is how music is like positioned, how it's organized, alright? That's more so the part that we lean on with what we're breaking down. But music theory in and of itself is basically defined as like the ideas behind why music sounds good or why music sounds bad. And the way that I break it down on my channel is really like the stuff that we hear, what makes it sound good or what makes it sound bad. Why does this sound good to me or why does this sound bad to me? And based on what you're ear for or what your preference is when you're listening to different music, what you consider to be good music theory or bad music theory may be different from the next person. Like, I'm sure the person that has like the classical music ear is going to pick up on things that are way different than what I judge based on. So again, just to make this clear, this is based on my use of the term music theory on our channel. Alright, let's throw in some nerd shit for you guys who are hoping to check this video out and pull something out to make you sound smarter. There are primarily 4 different dimensions to music. That's going to be your pitch, your rhythm, your volume, and your tone. Now the composition of music is going to be broken up into 3 primary parts. You're going to have your rhythm, your melody, and your harmony. Your rhythm is just a repeated pattern of sounds, alright? So you'll understand this mostly like specifically in hip-hop when we break it down with the different flows and delivery packages that artists tend to use. They have different rhythms to them, different patterns of sound that they're choosing, right? That's their style, alright? Melody is a combination of both rhythm and pitch. And then a harmony is a combination of multiple melodies. A harmony you'll hear us point out a lot of times when you have different layered vocals or when you have like the orchestras that come in with layered instruments. That's when we start talking about harmonies. The melody is like the part of the song that if you get like stuck in your head and you happen to be humming or singing it to yourself, chances are that's your melody that gets stuck in your head. That's just an easy breakdown of some of the elements and components to music from a more technical aspect before we start getting into the stuff that we actually listen to, what we break down, what we like and what we don't like. So let's break down now the stuff that we actually point out and talk about in all of the reaction videos. Specifically when it comes to rhythm, right? When you look at the delivery package that an artist decides to go with, a lot of times we start to break down like, hey, this flow sounds really good, and this flow just doesn't sound right. Maybe it's off beat. A lot of time it'll come because of the multi-syllable matchups, right? So when you have a repeated rhyme sound, and let's say you're doing a 4-syllable rhyme scheme, and maybe some parts in there you weren't able to fit just right, and you ever like listen to something and you just tell like, that part sounded a little bit off, it didn't rhyme quite as well, and it kind of pulls you out of the rhythm. Because you don't have that repeated pattern of sound that's going on with the rhyme scheme, that's continuing with their flow, that's bad music theory. It's the stuff it becomes a little bit jarring. It pulls you out of the vibe. It pulls you out of the flow whenever somebody can't like write properly to it. That's one of the ways that we critique rhythm. Now, one of the things that you will see me praise a lot is when an artist can switch in and out of different melodies. And this is for a couple of different reasons. In terms of music theory, one of the things that I love about it is that it pulls your attention back in. When an artist can stay within certain rhythms and still be able to switch up their melodies from maybe a chopper flow to a more melodic flow into a more punch-heavy flow, and all of those melodies, the way that they're stringing their pitch and their rhythm along, change, and it sounds fluid. That's amazing melody. That's good music theory. And it serves a couple purposes. I pointed out, and I talk about this a lot, is because it pulls your attention back to the front. There's nothing wrong with somebody being able to keep one solid melody for a 3-minute song. That could be a preference that somebody has. For me personally, the longer that a single solitary melody continues, the more likely my ADHD is to kick in and for me to drift off and not be fully present and be paying attention to the lyrics. You'll see this a lot with a lot of pop music. The idea in a lot of pop music is just to keep the radio on. They don't want you to switch to the next channel. So that's not necessarily going to bring you back to the forefront. They're not going to continuously switch up those melodies so that you're paying attention to the lyrics, because that's not the goal soul of it. So when we listen to a lot of indie music, you're listening to underground music, you're listening to lyricists, we're listening to people that have a message behind what they're trying to say. A lot of the times when they switch up the melodies that we're listening to, whether it's in 4-bar stanzas or whatever the case may be, it serves the purpose of bringing your attention back to the forefront. To me, that's excellent music theory, especially when you actually have something to say. Obviously, if I'm just going to go through a chopper flow and it's just a lot of filler, that the only thing that I'm looking to point out is the rhythm, is the repeated process of pattern of sounds, then the music theory or the melody isn't super important at that point, because we don't want them necessarily paying attention to everything that we're saying. It's more like, this is cool from a technical aspect. Pay attention to this rhythm and how I keep the same rhythm throughout the entirety of it. So really, it does come down to preference, but I'd like to point out what I praise on this channel specifically. So that's how we break down and why we break down the difference in melodies versus consistent rhythms, and being able to switch them up fluidly within the rhythm. Now let's jump into tone. Now a lot of people confuse tone with pitch. That's not what we're talking about. I don't care about the volume of your voice and hitting notes. When we're talking about tone, a lot of time it's your ability to read the room. It's you as an author and what your attitude is, all right? So for instance, we're going to be looking at several different things. We're going to look at your beat selection. We're going to look at your actual tone of your voice, like your delivery package. And then we're going to be looking at your message. Is there a cohesion? Is it cohesive between the three of those? All right. So if you're doing a track about a funeral, about the passing of a loved one, you're not going to pick a beat that's like a fast-paced dance hall beat. I should be able to listen to the beat of the song and have an idea about the emotion that you're trying to elicit out of me. All right. Then your delivery package. If you're talking about the passing of a loved one, you're not going to. It doesn't make any sense. You're not going to come in with high energy. You're going to want to convey that emotion, the pain, the tone should match the beat, should match the message. And then the last thing, of course, is the actual message of what it is that you're talking about. It's really, really weird if you're talking about like the birth of a newborn child, but you got like this really, really like downtrodden beat, and you sound like you have sorrow in your voice, but you're talking about getting good grades in school, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be a cohesion between those three primary things. So when I'm praising the tone or when we're critiquing the tone, it's going to be because one of those things. So again, just to reiterate, you're going to be looking at the actual beat of the music that we have, your delivery package, the sound of your voice, the message that you're and the message you're conveying. Those are going to be your three primary things with this. Boom. There you go. So that's your breakdown for what music theory is used for primarily on this channel during breakdowns. Keep in mind that music theory itself encompasses a ton of other stuff, including the entire world of writing music that we didn't even touch on slightly. If this interests you, I highly encourage you to go and seek out professionals or courses or classes, online courses, something like that. If you really want to dive down and get a better understanding. The purpose of this video is really just for how the term is used on this channel, because a lot of you guys did have questions, and I've seen people comment, whether it's on Twitter or whether it's in the comments here, about maybe not understanding some of the uses of the term. So I hope this clears some stuff up. As always, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I will catch y'all on the next one.